Hello. Quick announcement. 1 minute left before the polls close. So if you haven't gotten through the check-in line for voting, go get in line right now and do that. We'll give you 1 more minute. It looks like everybody got through that line and now everybody is in the food line. So we are on schedule. Just a 1 minute warning. In the room or outside?
And so they're working on the audio setting position of the speakers to try and back a little bit.
I'll quiet down.
Yeah, no, that's good. Maybe do an audio check.
I'm not sure if it's critical, right? 1 minute warning. They know it's 12:30. It's not really mandatory that. Here pretty soon. That doesn't mean that you need to get out of the food line. You're welcome to stand there and wait for the food and get whatever we have left there. There are also a few seats left up front, so don't be shy. I won't be shy if you don't be shy. And yeah, don't worry if you're still standing in line while we get the meeting started. And maybe somebody towards the back, wave at me if you can hear what I'm saying. Oh, I love it. Thank you for that was the participation trophy right there. Thank you so much.
Now, voting is officially closed.
Okay, and I have just heard from the head of the Election Supervisory Committee that the polls are now closed for voting. And they're going to get to work on counting so we can give you official results towards the end of this meeting. Okay, I'm going to officially call this meeting to order. Before we dive into the agenda today, we're going to take a moment to focus on something that is always a top priority at LPEA, which is safety. To lead us off with this important reminder, I'd like to welcome up someone who lives and breathes our safety culture. Trent is our safety and security manager. Trent, come on up.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to share a few important safety and security measures and reminders. In case of an emergency, please note the location of all our emergency exits here in this building. Familiarize yourself with the nearest exit that is to your seat. If an evacuation is necessary, please remain calm and follow the guidance of your LPEA staff and designated individuals or the emergency personnel. First aid kits are located throughout our facilities and designated staff are trained to assist if needed. So if you do need that, let us know. For the safety of all of our attendees and our employees, please stay within the designated meeting areas. Access to other parts of the facility is prohibited. After the conclusion of this meeting, we ask that all members to promptly exit the facility. This is to help our staff secure the building and return it to normal operation. We appreciate your help on this. And once again, thank you for your attention and for attending this meeting.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Trent. So as we get started, and the way we start all of our meetings, I'm going to ask everyone, and I know you have food on your laps, but I'm going to ask everyone to rise and remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So welcome, everyone. I'm Ted Compton, current board president for Plata Electric Association. And whether you're joining us today in person, thank you all, or virtually through Zoom, thank you very much for being a part of our 2025 annual meeting. This is a very important moment for us. It's a time to reflect on the past year, our accomplishments, our challenges, and the values that continue to guide everything we do at LPEA. It's also a celebration. This year marks our 85th anniversary as a cooperative. That's 85 years of reliable, local, member-owned power. It's a legacy built on innovation, resilience, and community. Because rural electric co-ops didn't just happen, they were created when neighbors came together to bring electricity to places that others wouldn't bring it. That same cooperative spirit still powers us today. Okay, so some of you might be thinking I was just here. Didn't we just have an annual meeting? And you're not wrong. Last year we held our annual meeting in September, but we are now happy to be back on our regular spring schedule. So thank you for joining us again so soon. This brings me to a key reason that this meeting matters. In cooperatives, members like you aren't just customers, you're the owners. Our annual meeting is one of the most visible ways that we practice cooperative principle number 2, democratic member control. You have a voice, you have a vote, and you help shape the future of this organization. Every time you attend a meeting, read a newsletter, or cast your ballot, you are helping guide the direction of LPEA. That's what makes cooperatives different and better. We're accountable to you, not to outside investors. I also want to take a moment to recognize some of the people who helped make all this happen. That is my team, the board of directors. If you're here and you're a current board director, will you please stand up for a second? Thank you very much for the applause. This group brings diverse views, healthy debate, and a shared commitment to doing what's right for our members and our communities, and it is honestly a privilege for me to serve alongside them. We also mark another milestone today. This is our first annual meeting with our new CEO, Chris Hansen. When the board of directors unanimously selected Chris, we weren't just filling a position, we were choosing a path forward. Chris brings deep experience in energy policy and technical operations, but more importantly, he brings a passion for rural communities. He understands that energy isn't just about kilowatts, it's about affordability, reliability, and the ability to create opportunity for everyone. That's why we are confident that he is the right leader to guide LPEA through our next chapter. Over the next about an hour, if you can bear with us, you will hear more about where we've been, what we're focused on, and what lies ahead, including some topics like energy transition, wildfire mitigation efforts, and new investments in technology and infrastructure. Looking ahead, the energy landscape is evolving. So are the expectations of our members. Our promise is to stay ahead of that curve, delivering cleaner, more resilient power without sacrificing affordability. We know that change is not always easy, but we also know that when led with transparency, technical excellence, and trust, we can deliver lasting value to the communities that we serve. Before we get started, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Grassburger for bringing food. I would also like to apologize if everybody doesn't get food, and I'd also like to request that in the future, if you plan on coming, fill out the form and RSVP so we can plan for you. So to all of you, to our members, thank you again for showing up, for staying informed, and for being the reason that we do what we do. We're proud of the ground that we've covered, but the most important work is always what comes next. So the next order of business is for us to determine that we have a quorum. Our general counsel, Graham Smith, will make that announcement for us.
Thank you, Ted. According to Article 2, Section 4 of LPEA's bylaws, 50 eligible members voting, whether in person, by mail ballot, or by electronic ballot, constitutes a quorum. We have received well over 50 ballots for this meeting, so we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Graham. Next item of business, we need an acting secretary and parliamentarian. So I will ask LPEA's executive assistant, Janelle Thurston, if you will act as our secretary for today. Do you accept? She said yes. And we need a parliamentarian. I can't imagine someone better than LPEA's general counsel, Graham Smith.
Any idea
Do you
why I
accept the
can't
appointment?
get sound?
Yes.
He also said yes.
Wrap this. Pull down menu for sound and put it on Mac.
I've done
Mac
that.
Speakers.
Yeah, I'm just
I
finding.
just did that 3 times.
Okay,
And
next
then
thing we need to
unmute it,
do
it might be
is to
muted.
kind of set some ground rules. Going to have the
On the
parliamentarian,
Mac or
Graham,
on the
go over
Zoom.
the official
It's
notice of
not.
the annual meeting
No.
and the standard rules
Flick.
and procedures for the meeting. So I'll turn it over to Graham for a bit.
Thank you again. Pursuant to Article 2, Section 3 of LPEA's bylaws, a written, printed, or electronic notice of this annual meeting stating the place, day, and hour of the meeting was sent to all members not more than 60 days, nor less than 10 days before this meeting. This is the official meeting of the members for 2025. As for the standing rules, we have provided copies of this year's standing rules for those attending in person and provided a copy on LPEA's website for those viewing at home. May I have a motion to approve the standing rules? All right, second? All right. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? President Compton, so the motion carries, and President Compton, that's all I have regarding the notice and the standing rules.
Thanks a lot, Graham. Okay, next thing we need to do is approve today's agenda and accept the annual meeting minutes from last year's annual meeting. So can I get a motion to approve the agenda that we have for today? Thank you. Moved. Is there a second? I hear a second. Thank you very much. Any discussion on the agenda that we're following today? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the agenda, please say aye. Is there anyone opposed? Thank you very much. We have an agenda. Let's see. Then I also would like to get a motion to dispense with reading of last year's minutes and approve them. If that's acceptable, can I get a motion? So moved. Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Okay, all in favor of approval of the last year's minutes, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much for the procedure. So starting in, good afternoon again. As I said, I'm the board president, Ted Compton, and I'm pleased to offer you this report on behalf of your elected directors. At LPEA, our responsibility is clear. Protect the integrity of our electric system today while positioning the co-op for a stronger tomorrow. That clarity has guided our work this year through major decisions, leadership transitions, and ongoing improvements to system reliability and service delivery. The most consequential action that was taken this year, or in 2024, yeah, it's the bus barn. It's the truck barn. Hopefully you can all still hear me. I was about to talk about the most consequential decision. So that was our vote to formally withdraw from our current wholesale power contract. That vote was not symbolic. It was a definitive step forward, an unconditional notice of withdrawal made only after years of financial modeling, legal diligence, and strategic evaluation. The rationale was straightforward: to secure a more flexible, cost-effective, and sustainable power supply for our members. The existing arrangement no longer aligned with our long-term goals. With this vote, we exercised a core cooperative principle, autonomy and independence, in order to chart a path that better reflects the needs of the communities that we serve. Let me be very clear, this transition is being handled with precision and care. While we pursue new power supply, our operational focus has not wavered. Reliability remains strong, outage response times remain fast, and capital upgrades continue on pace. That is a direct result of the commitment and professionalism of our staff, and the board thanks staff for that. This past year, we also saw a shift in leadership. At this time, I want to recognize the man sitting next to me, Graham Smith, for serving as our interim CEO during a time of significant complexity. Graham provided a steady hand when it was most needed, and we are truly grateful for Graham's service. And then in November, the board welcomed Chris Hansen as our permanent CEO. Chris's qualifications are substantial, but more importantly, his approach reflects the expectations of this board and this membership. He is accessible, responsive, and deliberate in his leadership. Member engagement has become more frequent, more direct, and more transparent, exactly as it should be. We are in a dynamic moment. The decisions we make now will shape LPEA's structure and strategy for decades. The board remains focused on risk management, long-range planning, and ensuring that LPEA maintains financial health throughout this power supply transition. Later, Chris will outline some key milestones from 2024 and preview the road ahead. But I'll close with this. As directors, we never lose sight of the fact that we work for you, our members. We know the decisions ahead about power supply, rate design, infrastructure investments aren't always simple. The energy world is evolving fast, and with that comes complexity. Your board is here to represent you, but we can only do that well if we hear from you. So I encourage you to reach out to your district directors, read our newsletters, attend board meetings, or watch the recordings. Bring your questions, challenge assumptions, and seek to understand not just what we are doing, but why we're doing it. Every decision we make starts with that understanding and ends with that responsibility. Thank you very much for the opportunity to serve you. And now I'm going to pass the floor over to CEO Hansen to highlight some of LPEA's 2024 operational achievements.
Well, thank you very much, Board President Compton. Thank you to the Board of Directors for your trust in me as I started this job about 6 months ago. It is so great to be a part of my first annual meeting. I think my dad is a now retired high school teacher, and he would always roam the classroom as he lectured. I had him for 3 out of my 4 years in high school. Imagine that for a second. Your dad was your teacher for 3 out of 4 years. So you'll see me walking around a little bit today. I'm bad at standing still as I present the highlights from our 2024 year. And so with that, let's dive in. I've had a chance over the last several months, the 6 months that I've been here, to get to know a lot of the people in the room. I'm seeing some familiar faces from some of the coffees with Chris and other community events that we've hosted, but wanted to start with a little bit of an introduction, a little bit about my background. And I'm going to go back to the most, all right, hit it one time. There we go. Start with the most important thing in my life, which is my family. My incredible wife, Olka, we've been married coming up on 25 years, and our 2 wonderful sons, most of the time, teenage boys. Sachin's 18. He graduates from high school in Denver on Friday. So I'm super excited to celebrate with him. And my youngest son is 16 and getting ready for his junior year. So a little bit more parenting to go before we launch them both out into college. But really excited to start this new chapter with my family here in Durango. A little bit about my academic background. I sometimes refer to this as my misspent 20s. My dad kept asking me, "Are you going to get a job at some point?" It's like, "Yes, Dad, I promise." But had some wonderful opportunities to study engineering. I started off at Kansas State. I love this picture because this is near my hometown in Western Kansas. I grew up right on the Colorado border in Goodland. If anybody's been on I-70 lately, it is the first McDonald's that you hit once you cross the border, which I worked at in high school, one of my first jobs. But I love this picture of kind of the windmill from the 1870s, 1880s to the modern wind turbines that dot the landscape in Western Kansas now. And so went off to study nuclear engineering at Kansas State, finished that up in 1998, then had a chance to go and study engineering in South Africa. I was at the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. Got to meet Nelson Mandela when I was there, which is a pretty life-changing experience. And then came back and did a master's degree at MIT in systems engineering, where I was focused on electricity system planning in China. And then did my doctoral degree at the University of Oxford over in the UK, where I focused on electricity system planning in Western India, which is a really quick way to kill a conversation at a cocktail party, I can tell you. But a little bit of my background on the electricity side during my academic period. Started in the private sector in 2005, worked at a company called CERA, Cambridge Energy Research Associates. That then got purchased by IHS, and I had 10 great years in the private sector there, had a number of different responsibilities, including electric system planning. Did projects all over the world, from New Zealand to India, Sri Lanka, Singapore. Anybody from Michigan in the room? I had a long stretch in Jackson, Michigan, working on the power system in the Michigan context. So lots of great experience in the private side, and then made a somewhat questionable decision to run for public office. So left my job in 2015 and ran to represent Central and East Denver in the Colorado State House. Was elected to that position in 2016 and served for 8 years in the Colorado Legislature, 3 years in the House, and 5 years in the State Senate, finishing up my time as I took this new job here in Durango. So a huge thank you for your warm welcome to this incredible community. And I'm trying to get to know folks as fast as I can, and really appreciate your help with that as I'm getting settled in here 6 months in. So that's a little bit about my background, which I thought would be appropriate, for a first annual meeting, just give you a little sense of who I am and how I arrive at this job. And now for a really nice picture from Sunnyside. This is the nearly 2 megawatts that we've installed just south of Durango that is serving our members every single day with low-cost electricity. And I think to Ted's point, and either pick a quote from a founding father, or in this case to Bob Dylan, to kick things off, nothing so stable as change. And that is absolutely what we're in the middle of right now in the energy industry across the board, across the world, really. And that certainly affects us here in La Plata and Archuleta counties. So I'm going to take just a little bit of a moment to talk about how these changes are affecting us as your co-op. First of all, why LPEA? Why do all these currents happening globally and across the country? Why does it matter to us? Well, we have a very clear direction from the board of directors to steadily and assertively reduce our emissions and to improve air quality in our local region and for the world. And I believe that co-ops are in a very special place to be part of the leadership of this important transition. And you can see here a snapshot of kind of the pie chart of emissions in Colorado. And the important thing from this is that electricity is about 20% right now in Colorado. But if you think about the other areas, about 20% from oil and gas, about 20% from transportation, 20% from industrial facilities, all those other parts of this graph are depending on low emission electricity to lower their emissions. And so arguably the most important thing up here is that transition in the electricity industry, and LPEA has made a very clear strategic decision to work hard on this important issue. All right, here's what I sometimes refer to as the spaghetti chart. This is the power grid of Colorado. If you've never seen it before, and I'm guessing most people in the room have not seen this map before, this isn't interstates or highways. These are where the big power lines are. The black lines are where existing facilities are, and then the colored lines and squiggles are where new lines have been proposed in the most recent update of the state plan. The reason this is important is because our future depends on great access to transmission. And you're going to see that here over the next couple of slides. And why do the larger regional currents have such a big impact on us? Well, first of all, as I begin this job at LPEA, this is the starting point. There are 37 uncoordinated grids in the West right now. So essentially there are 3 grids in the United States: the East, the West, and anybody from Texas in the room? Nobody from Texas in the room, not a single person. One person admitted it in the back. All right, very brave. The reason I point that out is Texas, as Texas does, has decided to have their own grid. That to me does not make a lot of sense. And it's sort of something you can joke about, but it's also very serious because the more isolated you are in the grid, the less reliability you have. And if you have a bad storm like Texas had in 2021, they had massive shortages because they couldn't bring in excess power from their neighbors. Louisiana, Oklahoma had power they could export, but no ability to get that into the state. And that to me is a good example of why we don't want to continue down this track of lots of uncoordinated separate grids in the West. And as we sit here today, it's essentially 37 separate grids in the Western United States. But the good news is we are quickly going to be changing that. So LPEA will be joining the Southwest Power Pool grid mechanism in the Western US starting on April 1st, 2026. That means we'll be able to buy and sell and access power and other services from that grid. But it's a somewhat weak grid in this part of the country. And this chart tells you where there's a lot of wind, where there's a lot of solar. The purple is where there's both. But it also importantly has the national grid on it. And the thicker the line, the more robust that grid is. And you can tell in our part of the country, it's a little light right now. And so one of the things that we are actively looking at with the staff, evaluating different options of how we might strengthen our interconnection. And the good news is the Four Corners area, right next to Farmington, there is a very large hub of grid lines coming together. And if you look close on this map, you can see that. So that is a great opportunity for us and something we're going to be evaluating how we might be able to upgrade over time and get more access to the regional grid. And that has huge benefits for the membership. So here's our service territory. We come into this annual meeting. We're at about almost 40,000 poles, almost 4,000 miles of line. We've got now just shy of 50,000 meters. You'll be pleased to know that once you cross 50,000 meters, you go from small co-op to medium co-op. So we are, as we go into 2025, we are now a medium co-op. So that's a big step in our evolution and growth. We have 120 employees, about $110 million annual budget, and our capital spend that Ted mentioned in his opening remarks, also very significant. We are doing, I think, a really robust job of keeping up with the system upgrades that we need to maintain reliability. That includes things like adding more reliability from here to Pagosa Springs with additional transmission line upgrades, adding substations with a new substation just south of Pagosa, for example. So making those investments to make sure we're ahead of the curve when it comes to serving our members. All right, a few things to now report on and give you a little more detail that you can find all of this in our annual report that is, and in our audited financials that are available on our website. You can see here some of the key metrics that we keep track of. So cash reserves, we're always trying to stay between 12 and 20%. We ended 24 within that target range. Operating margins, we were just above our target, which is always, of course, a good place to be. And make sure we have the flexibility we need to finish the capital projects that I mentioned. Equity percentage, right now we're at 54% as of December 31st, 2024. Again, all in the annual report. Our long-term debt is about 62% of equity, well below our goal of keeping it under 100. And then you can see for the finance people in the room, our modified debt service coverage ratio, MDSC. There's so many acronyms in this business. Lots of TLAs and a few with 4 letters. But again, well below or well above, I should say, our coverage ratio of 1.35 is our minimum. We also returned $1.5 million in capital credits to members who were part of the membership in 2003 and 2023. All right, a couple more slides to go. On safety and operations, I wanted to see if you would join me in congratulating the incredible staff at LPEA for 0 lost time accidents and incidents in 2024. There are incredible line workers who are here. Thank you for that. For our line workers in the room, most of them are at the back. They are very easy to spot. Why? Because they are wearing beautiful high-vis shirts. But if you guys could raise your hands and help me recognize our incredible line workers. They just do such an amazing job for our membership. I mean, that is the heart and soul of our co-op. You think back to February 14th. We were all getting ready to celebrate Valentine's Day, and what showed up? 15 inches of heavy, wet snow. And I'm sure a few of you in the room lost power. That was particularly the case in a few spots in Archuleta. They got their boots on, they got in the truck, and they answered the call, and they got the power back on as quickly as we possibly could. And you can see some of the snow-capped pictures there of some of those experiences. We also won the Diamond Level Safety Award from APPA, which is the American Public Power Association. That's the highest safety honor. We take that so seriously, and you can hear it today in our meeting. We start the meeting, all of our meetings, with safety moments. Our board meetings, our LT meetings, our annual meetings, we start with safety. Our reliability markers in 2024, also really great progress to report there. Had 38 major outages. It's our lowest since 2018. Obviously, there's the vagaries of weather that go with that, but very pleased to report that figure. Our outage per member was below 1, which is a half a point below the national average, so that's really positive. Outages averaged 83 minutes, which is way less than the national average, which is 335, and the Colorado average, which is 150. So I think really good news to report on our reliability statistics. And then you can see here a number of the important system upgrades that we did. Lots of line replacement. Anybody see the work on North 550 that's been happening over the last several months? My kids make fun of me all the time, like, Dad, quit talking about power lines. Those are some beautiful power lines, North 550. Every time you drive past them, take pride of ownership and membership. Those are lines that will serve our membership for many decades to come, and it was great to get that project done. System upgrades, so a few other things here. Birds of prey, the Raptor protection devices. We also had the major capital projects completed around the substations and some grid automation and other wildlife mitigation mechanisms and wildfire mitigation mechanisms. So really important work that we got done in 2024 on your behalf. A few highlights from member engagement this year. This was something I really tried to prioritize as I came into the job in November. But you can see we're going to have a wonderful chance to celebrate together some incredible young people in our community who are receiving scholarships today. We'll get to that toward the end of the meeting. The number of additional town halls, focus groups that we did in 2024, some additional webinars, especially for people who are looking to do any beneficial electrification projects. Want to make sure people had great information about those. We had an open house as well, the opening of the Sunnyside, and then for folks to remember, the IBEW always helps to sponsor the holiday food drive in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So great to continue that high level of member engagement. All right, I am just about done. The major point I want to kind of end this section with is, we talked about Sunnyside. Again, it's almost 2 megawatts, powers about 600 homes and businesses in our service territory. We're also really pleased to announce that we've got finalized documents now on the USDA-funded solar and battery project, $13.5 million grant that we're going to be able to deploy that capital on behalf of the membership. That includes some additional solar generation, but importantly, adding a 5 megawatt battery to that installation so that we have more flexibility as we enter into the grid. So great local projects that have immediate local impact, and for the immediate impact on job creation and property tax and sales tax that gets paid in our community. All right, a little bit of a look ahead. This is my last section. So 2025, as we look forward to 2025, 2026, and onward, is really critical years for us. So on April 1st, 2026, we will finish our departure from our wholesale supplier, and that makes 2025 work so very important as we get ready for that. But you can see our key focus areas, making sure we've got secure energy supply. We're in great shape on that. I'm pleased to report. Ensuring reliability and resiliency, that goes to the capital projects that I've been talking about. Meeting our North Star targets around safety and making sure there's no slip at all on our safety record, and advancing our cooperative growth as we get ready for new demand and new load in our territory. So to that point, the long-term vision is really built around these 4 points. Rising energy demand, more people are moving here, more members coming every month, more homes and businesses in our service territory. We also are getting ready for things like more electrification of upstream oil and gas facilities. We think we're going to add megawatts of new load because of upstream oil and gas operations in our territory. We may see more EVs. We may see more energy intensive applications in our territory. So we want to make sure we're ready for that. Organic membership growth, that's new houses, new people moving in, continue to see that in La Plata and Archuleta. Talked a little bit about beneficial electrification, helping members who want to make a transition to electric appliances. We're here to help. Heat pumps, hot water heaters, induction stoves, electric vehicles, whatever it might be, solar on your roof, batteries in your garage. We're here as your co-op to help make those options easy and available. Transmission of infrastructure expansion, mentioned a little bit of why that's important in our regional context. That continues apace. All right. That is the end of my opening remarks and a report back on 2024 and a little bit of a look ahead of what we're tackling on your behalf in 2025 and 2026. And so I'm now ready to move on to the next section of the meeting and very much appreciate everyone coming today. And thank you again for your warm welcome to Durango. All right. This brings us to what I would consider the funnest part of the annual meeting, which is our chance to recognize some incredible local scholars and local students. And LPEA is so proud to invest in the future of our communities by supporting educational goals of our youth and our local students. And one of the most meaningful ways we do that is through our scholarship programs and youth development programs. This year, we received 42 outstanding scholarship applications from students across our service territory. A volunteer committee of 7 local community members reviewed each application. And today we are proud to recognize 5 exceptional recipients who will collectively receive $88,000 in scholarship funds to help pursue higher education dreams. Those of you who are able to attend today, as I call your name, please come to the stage and be recognized, and we'll be sure to get a great photo as well. And Ted has the fanciest lunch bag I have ever seen, along with a wonderful certificate. But most importantly, each of these students will receive $7,000 annually for 4 years to attend a U.S. college or university. So with that, let's welcome our first recipient, which is Sylvie Bozeman's. Sylvie. Is Sylvie here? Right, we just cut her scholarship in half. I'm sorry, Sylvie. No good. Maybe she's taking a final today. That's possible. All right, next, could I call up Violet Menzenko? All right, Violet. Violet gets the full 7,000. Great job, Violet. All right, while we're getting a photo of this amazing student, let me tell you, Violet is going to be attending the photo bomb with Ted. Violet will be attending the Colorado School of Mines to study mechanical engineering. Congratulations, Violet. All right, that folks know that is the nerdiest 2 square miles in the state. You guys know that, right? Okay, all right. So you know what you're getting yourself into. All right, we now move on to the John Volker Memorial Scholarship, which is a $5,000 award annually for 2 years, awarded to students pursuing vocational, technical, or junior college education. First student to receive this award is Connor Thien. I hope I said that correctly. Connor, all right. Come on down, Connor. I know he's got proud grandfather here today, along with a bunch of his family. Well done, Connor. All right, and Connor will also be headed into the nerdiest 2 square miles in Colorado School of Mines to study mechanical engineering. Our next recipient is Dylan Timmerman. Dylan, here he comes. Congratulations, Dylan. Dylan will be studying engineering at Fort Lewis College. Well done. All right, and we have one more very important scholarship to award, which is our LPEA Line Worker Scholarship, which is a $12,000 award for training at any U.S. line worker program, including the one just down the road, just north of us at Colorado Mesa. And we are happy to award this to Owen Arias. Owen. Is Owen here? All right, Owen gets his award cut in half too. He will be pursuing line worker studies at Colorado Mesa University. Let's give all of our scholarship winners a great round of applause. Now, I do want to let folks know applications are still open for the line worker scholarship. If you know anyone who might be interested, a young person who is interested in going that direction, you can find those online at our website, lpa.coop/scholarships. All right, now we would also like to take a moment to celebrate 3 outstanding high school juniors who have been selected to represent LPEA at the 2025 National Rural Electric Youth Tour in Washington, D.C. this June. It's an annual tradition. We're so pleased to support these students. They were chosen for their leadership potential and commitment to their communities. They will join 30 other students from Colorado and more than 1,500 from across the country for a week-long leadership and learning experience in our nation's capital. And in June, they're going to be sweating a lot. We can safely say that. But please join me in congratulating our 2025 Youth Tour delegates, Declan Denon. Declan, are you here?
Yeah, come on out.
Yeah, come on down. Terrific. Sabina Fisher. All right, come on down, Sabina. And Max Meiji. Congratulations, Max. All right, we'll get a group photo here with all 3 recipients. Yes, thank you. Congratulations.
Lunchbox.
All right. And a group photo. All right, we're incredibly proud of all of these students. The future of our cooperative and our communities is clearly in great hands, and that concludes our presentation for the scholarships. And I'll turn it over to Ted for the announcement of our election results.
Okay, thanks. We're going to hand it over to Matt from Survey Ballot Systems. The moment you've all been waiting for. I was speaking with one of our staff members yesterday, and she said, it's like Christmas Eve for a co-op. It's one way to think about it. Okay, take it away, Matt. Let us know.
Thank you, Ted. And thank you, everyone, for trusting SBS and to run your board of director elections. I think they have a slide that they'll show. So in District 1, Dusty Mars was the winner with 1,075 votes, and Holly Maxler with 739. In District 2, we had Brad Blake as the winner with 1,768 votes, Terry Reiner with 401, and Greg Barber with 367. In District 3, we had Joe Lewandowski with 1,718 votes and David Peters with 640. And in District 4, we had John Witchell with 1,391 and Lyle McKnight with 1,337. And then overall, for participation, it was 25.27%, which is extremely good. That puts your co-op in the top tier with all the other 300 co-ops that we service. Very good participation rate. So thank you again, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it. So just walking through it here quickly since we have the slides. And then congratulations at the same time. So congratulations to our new director from District 1, Dusty Mars. In District 2, congratulations, Brad Blake. In District 3, congratulations to Joe Lewandowski. And in District 4, congratulations to John Mitchell. And yeah, thanks to outgoing directors. Thank you very much, Holly. It's been a pleasure serving with you. And also Dan Huntington in the back, who didn't run for election again this year. So thank you very much for all of your service. And one more time, thank you to the members for taking the time and the effort to be knowledgeable and to cast your votes. We really appreciate that. Yeah, okay, so next item on the agenda, we're focusing on the members some more. This is a Q&A session. So anybody who has questions for staff, the board, feel free to get up. We have a mic in the middle here. So go hit the mic and we'll just go in the order that people stand up behind the mic. And don't be shy. It'd be great if you just give us your name and sort of where you live approximately.
Okay. Hi, my name is Mimi Fontaine, and I live north Waterfall Lane. So, and this isn't so much a question, but it was a thought that I had. And you know, we have those big power lines. I know it goes through Cherry Creek and stuff. And I always thought that underneath there, they could put solar and then connect it to the electrical grid, because there's that big wide swath. And I don't know how something like that would work or not. And then the other thing I thought of too is, you know, all the oil and gas wells that we have, I think a lot of those have electricity to them. Would that be right, to do the pump? And some of them are empty and they could be like solar hubs. So it was more just a thought, you know, trying to think outside the box and how we could get more energy. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for that comment. Just a quick response. You know, we are looking for opportunities across lots of different technologies. As you saw from the Sunnyside facility, we are actively pursuing solar projects and battery projects as part of our system. It is difficult to do solar installations like along a line. It works much better to do them near substations. And so that's really because the further away you are from a substation, the harder it is to interconnect into the system. You can't plug a solar facility really directly into a high voltage line. It needs to flow through an interconnect point like a substation. So that's, we are thinking along the same lines, but technically we're looking for interconnections that allow us to use our substation infrastructure for those points. But really great suggestion, so thank you.
Thanks, go ahead.
Dale Ruggles, I kind of live out by the Bayfield shooting range. I got two questions really. First, one's a statement. My wife wanted me to tell you was when you go cut the trees along your right of ways, pick up your branches. You left this big old pile along a road, and now we're responsible to pick it up. But I think that'd be really nice, especially when you're like 200 yards from a landfill that takes them for free. So, but the other question I have is you guys stated that we were all the owners, and I was wondering if you could explain the fast track communication sale and how much you got for it and what you're doing with that money, even though you've stated that there's been a confidentiality agreement in there. Seems like if we're the owners, we should be able to know that, what's going on with that fast track.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a stab at that. I mean, I'm probably not won't get all the terminology right and all those details, but Fast Track was a subsidiary of LPEA, but governed by a separate board. And so, oh, sorry, I don't want to discount Empire. So LPEA and Empire Electric sort of over in Cortez were mutually involved, were co-owners of that organization of Fast Track. But it was an independently run organization with its own board, and that board made the decision to pursue and finally to propose the sale of that organization. That sale was then approved by both of the shareholders, both LPEA and Empire. And again, maybe I'll get Graham to help me out here a little bit with this if I get it sort of wrong. But when an organization like that is doing deals in the private sector, they have to keep the terms of those deals confidential. If you're giving away terms of deals, you're greatly inhibiting your ability to make those deals. So if someone knows that you're going to talk about the price that something got sold for, they're probably not going to come back to you to sell something the next time. So that happens with Fast Track. That happens with other deals that LPEA currently makes and will make going forward. We're doing business in the private market, and so there are some things that need to be confidential. Anything else to add on that? That's what I got for you.
Hi, my name's Jackie Doyle, and I want to know if this is a member-owned co-op, why we're not getting to vote on decisions like to get away from Tri-State and making our co-op, I don't know, going into the abyss is what I look at. We're not getting to vote. We didn't appoint you guys or didn't elect you guys to make all the decisions. Some of these big decisions need to be made by the members.
I very much appreciate the concern and the comment and bringing it up. The organizational structure and the bylaws of the organization are very clear on the matter, that is a decision that's made by the board of directors. And so whether you agree with it in the moment, that's the way the bylaws are set up. And when you vote for your director, you are in fact giving them the permission to make those decisions.
I think you're talking in circles because bylaws were set by you guys. They weren't set by us, and they've been changed so much in the last 10, 15 years that that's not right.
More questions? You don't have a comment for that? You don't have a comment for? Yeah, I mean, I can comment on the bylaw issue. All bylaw changes are approved by members. So that goes on the annual ballot. So those aren't, in fact, decisions that are made directed by the board. The membership does determine the governance of the organization.
Thank you for following up for her. Chris, so when we met in Bayfield, I shared with you the opportunity that was having with this Ponderosa 115 line increasing and coming across the front of our yard. You referred me to Dan Harms, your executive vice president of Grid Solutions. After talking quite a bit with him, he finally came out. And so he went back to your third party that is designing the grid. And he said, well, design it to move it across the road. Well, he did give me a solution to move it across the road. But he said, heck with you, you also going to pay us $250,000 for us to run it across the road. You made an opening statement today, Chris, that you want to take care of your co-op members. Does that sound like they're taking care of your co-op members? There's money there to spare if they want to put it across the road. If you go between my mile marker 121 and 110, and then between 110 and 105, you'll see where they ran 64-foot poles or whatever the length is, and they did not do standalone poles. They used guy wires to hold those poles in spot. They figured 2 or 3 standalone poles to get that across the street and then come back over to my side so we didn't have it in our front yard. So I'd like to see something happen here that's reasonable and that you're going to take care of your members here. I've been very reasonable. Your third party, though, has been kind of nasty in their remarks. And then the contract that you send out representing the LPEA says that any land under the easement that we grant you, you'll have the mineral rights to it. That's a bunch of BS. That's like a land grab there. And that is just not right. So anybody in here that's got to sign an easement, you make sure you read it so they don't get the mineral rights underneath it. I hope we can get something done here. I'm going to correspond with Dan tomorrow and let him know what's happening. And the other thing is, for every correspondence I have with a third party and LPEA, it's like, oh, here, you have a 3-week note, you have 3 weeks to decide. And then when I send something in, I sent a letter in saying that I did not want the high lines going across the front of our yard anymore, and that it'd be good to move it across the street. That was a year ago last March, and nobody ever answered that. I had a lawyer that sent a letter to LPEA or through the third party. He never got answered. We need to get things working and going with you as a new CEO so we don't have this continued situation here. I've been a co-op member for 25 years, and we need to get together. I hope we can do something, and that I've made this public to everybody here, that we can come together and work together to have a co-op that's co-ops with us, that considers us, and that can do those things.
All right. Well, thank you. It's great to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And, just, I guess I want to be a little bit careful to protect your privacy and members' privacy. So I'm not going to go into great detail about, the discussions we're having with you. But what I would say is that you would propose that we move the line across the highway. So it's not across the street, but it's across a full federal highway, which would require significant investment, which you got an estimate for what that would cost. And I think the board has made a decision some 20 plus years ago that line movement requests from members, for whatever that reason might be, that would change our existing easements, are the responsibility of that member. So we don't feel like it's fair for all of the membership to pay to change easements at members' requests. So that's where that comes from. And that was the policy that I shared with you. And I'm very sure that Dan Harms did not say heck with you, because he would never do that. But what he did do, to my understanding, is he provided a third option, which is to move that line further away from the buildings. A couple of the buildings on your property, of course, were put in place after the line was installed. So we're very happy to be flexible and have, option A, B, and C, which is what we're exploring with you. And I'm committed to continuing to do that.
That's correct. But thank you for that. If I can follow up. When they figured it across the street, they did the standalone when they could have used the guy wires. That really adds a lot of money to the situation here. I understand it's 40-foot deep with concrete and rebar. I understand that, but doing guy wires is not going to be that much. As much as what they proposed to me in those areas.
So I certainly understand that. And I think there are places where if you're crossing a municipal road, that would be a design option. For a federal highway, I don't believe that's a design option for us here.
Well, there's one at 105. You can go look at 105 on Highway 160 out of Bayfield. It's 103 out of Bayfield, and you'll see exactly what I just described to you. They got like 8 guy wires right on that, and also it's sitting in the right of way, which I was told you can't have nothing in the right of way. If you go between Bayfield and my property, there is several new lines for this Ponderosa that has been put in there with guy wires that run into the right of way, and that also the poles are in the right of way. So why is it good for the goose but not for the gander or whatever? I don't know what else to talk to you about. But I really want to get something done here and go that way. And thank you for that input, and I'll correspond with Dan some more.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Trudy Baliketi, and I've lived in the area over 45 years. Okay. And nothing has really changed. I mean, I see so many of these electric poles going up here and there, and and then you guys are inhabiting all the animal spaces and stuff, and I've seen it come into the town, all the animals roaming around, and people are complaining about them being in their yards now. But it's just that. I mean, you guys don't have no control about, dealing with the animals. They don't have a voice. So I'm just saying, you guys need to quit building wherever you want. I mean, the digging is bad. I don't even know if anybody's digging up artifacts, and that's not good. I'm a native and I believe in that, and I'm here today. Well, I had a problem over there at the office today. And I don't understand why your staff in the front doesn't understand what I want out of what I wanted to speak to them about, my problem. And this affects me because I'm paying I'm never on leave, that program. I always pay out of pocket for my electric, but this is going to, well, this is kind of personal, but I was trying to get help, but they wouldn't help me over there. And I was trying to have them appoint me to somebody in the back, but they didn't hear what I had to say. And then I explained it to her, the lady in the front, and she didn't do nothing. So I told her I was going to file a grievance, and she said, go ahead, file a grievance. So I don't know. That's why I want to talk to somebody here that's in charge of the LPEA. So it's you? That's who I need to talk
Very
to
happy to speak
because
with you.
I have a deadline to do and I need this to be done with. But I need somebody to point me in the right direction because this is regarding my rental place. So that's why I was here. But I just came here just to see what you guys are talking about. And I don't think that digging is good. So I don't know if you guys are digging up artifacts or whatever, but you guys need to stop that. Because I've seen people trying to sell them at the flea market, which is legal, and you guys need to realize that that's something that's personal to us. So that's why I'm here to say about the digging. I don't like that, because I don't even know if you guys are even telling any of the tribes also. So that's the thing, because I know they dig it up and they go and sell it for their profit, but I'm sorry, but it's not right. So I'm just here to say that so you guys know what's going on. Okay? Thanks.
I'm Jim Hanks. I live up the Animas Valley. I was raised right here in Durango. I too have worked around the world a little bit in power stuff. And first thing is, I've been really happy with Plata Electric most of my life until recently when I had to argue like hell to get them to cut some trees, which were going to take down the power line across the Highway 550 up there. Well, sure enough, finally they did. They also took down three-phase 440 transformers that we personally bought when they put power up to that place up there. So we paid for it. So when those trees came down, they finally, after a lot of argument, sent out a nice tree cutting outfit, which is excellent. They had good equipment, good workers, on time. I really appreciate that. Okay. But what happened to my three transformers? I want them back. They are on the old power line that goes up the valley, and I've sent letters and asked for them back. I'm not using them right now, but they increase the value of the property. Plata Electric borrowed them at one point because they needed them. And when they put them back, they said, what, 440 or 220? I said, well, I think 220 would be more interesting, but I want those transformers back. The other thing is, I want to know what the hell you're going to do with the old power line. First, they told us they were going to do away with it. And now they say we're not going to do away with it. I don't know what they're going to do away with it. So I would appreciate some kind of answer as to what's going to happen with the old power line. I hope they keep it, really. Okay. The last thing I'd like to say is I have to disagree a little with our CEO, because being attached to the national grid does not necessarily mean that you're not going to have great disastrous crashes. With all the electricity demand coming on, that's going to be likely. And if you don't think that's going to be big, just look at what happened to Spain. We need more independent supplies. And we have it. If we could do it, we have Canyon Creek across from Tacoma. The reason Tacoma is there is because they got Hermosa Creek water, and if I'm correct, they also filed on Canyon Creek. Canyon Creek is not a lot of water, but it's a 3,000-foot fall. you can get a lot of power out of that right there. Okay. You also you do away with Hermosa Creek, which would be a great place for some storage, backwater all the way to Hermosa Park. You put in your solar and you pump it up there, and you can use it all the time. You could also increase night horse. They had night horse reduced in size. So you could build it back up a little bit and put generating capability on the next bit. So we have options. We don't have to go around looking for it. And I don't think tying on night. Oh, the last thing is, Las Vegas has said for a long time they're going to take Colorado's water. They're also going to take Colorado's electricity because they have the boats, the attorneys, and the money. So they're going to get it if they can. And if Lake Powell keeps going down and that shuts down, you can't even pump water to Lake Nighthorse. Because my understanding, that's where the power for it comes from. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But that's Durango's future water supply up there. So I think all these things need to be considered. I think we should look to more local power sources. We have them. There's a lot of political problems, but a lot of political pressure is coming to take all our electricity. I guess that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, I very much appreciate those comments. Just a quick for your information. I think we are in agreement because one of the things we're doing right now is an RFP process, or request for proposals. We are getting dozens and dozens of folks with local projects that are proposing them to us, including a number of hydro projects. So we're going to have more information on that as we start to finalize those options and finalize power purchase agreements. But I can tell you with certainty that we are excited to buy local hydro, local gas, local projects around solar and batteries. So lots of great options that we can do here close by. And I think what I see as kind of the 1-2 punch is great access to regional markets, and at the same time, add more local generation to our mix. Right now, we have a fairly low percentage of local. We're looking to double and triple that over the coming 5 to 10 years. So I think we're thinking along the same lines, and we're going to have a lot of great news on that front over the next 24 months.
Okay, so we'll take.
Yeah, I would be very happy to take a look at that with you. I'm not sure what happened to the transformers, but we could dig in and find out together.
So if we have more questions, we'll spend about 5 more minutes, and if it helps anyone be patient, then we will give away a TV.
Hi, I'm Katie Minkler from McNashland. I've been a member of LPEA over 50 years. And most of the people that I've talked to, they didn't know about the buyout. And they also, we don't receive the Country Life magazine from Colorado Co-op, and where that had the information in there. I think you're trying to keep us, that people don't know. And I would like to see the Country Life magazine come back with information. I like to know what's going on, and getting on the internet is not always easy. And it's better to have something in paper. I've talked to a lot of people, and they would like to have a paper copy of what is going on. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the comments. Go ahead.
My husband just spoke about the wires going across our property. I don't think anybody understands that I walk out the front door of my property, and then that's the easement. And it's cutting off into our house, and then it's all the way to the highway. And I am just sick. It's been so upsetting for me. How many of you would like that? To have the LPEA having trucks right in your front yard? That's why we asked about going over to the other side. And our neighbors down the road feel the same way. We talk to them. And so if more of the neighbors want to have it all on the other side, is that possible to do that? Because it's just it just makes me sick. In fact, from all the stress, I broke out with shingles because I've I can't imagine these trucks right in my front door and, putting up these power lines. So I would please, ask that, and that you would give us some grace. And, like I said, how many of you want to have power lines right in front of your door? Huh? How many? None. So these are are people that were all together on this, and they care about me more than you do. So please help us. We are really, we're in our 70s and we're just enjoying our incredible Colorado property that God gave us. And we really need help.
Will you take a member on Zoom question, please?
Lori Brian lived here 32 years. And couple of things. I wanted to bury my line when I upgraded my electric from the pole to the house. And my neighbors were amenable to giving an easement, which was a 3-foot distance from my property over onto their property. And the Plata Electric wanted a 15-foot easement. And they turned it down because they didn't want La Plata Electric to be able to come in and do whatever they wanted on their property, and they were willing to give me the easement so I could bury my line and not have a possible fire come off of the power line. I also wanted to bury my lines, and I would like La Plata Electric to come up with a partnership with homeowners to cover half the cost of burying the lines so we don't have poles. Jerry Sutherland said last year that the biggest expense the Plata Electric has and injuries is power line. And if we bury the line, we don't have to worry about the wildfires that are started off those lines, and we don't have to worry about the injuries, and we don't have to worry about the maintenance because it's buried. So I don't understand why we can't do that. Also, I feel that you're talking about local power generation. Everybody has a roof over their head. Why aren't we supporting rooftop solar and solar home battery systems? La Plata Electric could be doing a partnership with homeowners to have battery systems in their homes to where they can store the electricity so it's not overloading the line. And you have homeowners right here that are partnering with La Plata Electric for power production. And I have rental properties. I could be putting solar on my rental properties, but there isn't that possibility right now. So that's what I
have great news to share, which is that in 2025, we've launched a support program for members that want to do batteries at their home or business. So that is available right now. You can apply for that program. It's available on our website, or we can get you a hard copy of that application. We are right with you. We want to support members in those types of investments. They really significantly improve our system overall and help the homeowner to reduce costs. So yeah, we'd love to support your battery project.
One other thing that I have to say about Texas and their grid system is they totally understated the amount of deaths. This was a huge amount of deaths that happened during that 2021 or 22 storm. I mean, they said between 100 and 200 people died, but based on the amount of people that have average died during that time span, year after year, it's more like 1,000 people that died. And that's not to mention that the thawing, the freezing, the homes that had to be completely torn down because there's no, the lines were put on the outside walls. There's no regulations anywhere. It's like we've got to have better regulations here, and we can't let that sort of thing happen. And that's what happens when you get ERCOT and you get a state that wants to be independent unto itself. Things like that happen. Thank you.
All right. Thanks to all the members. We're going to
just
one
super
more.
quick. One more. Hello. Hi, guys.
Last question, though. Thank you.
It's not a question. I'm been a member since 2006, but I'm here to represent Clear Networks, aka the new owners of Fast Track. And I just want to say thank you so much for working with us and bringing residential fiber to Southwest Colorado. So you guys been really great in helping us do that. And yeah, so if anyone has any questions, you can approach me. But thank you again for having this meeting, and we do really appreciate you guys. So thank you.
Will you
Well,
please
yeah,
take
thanks for
one
saying that,
Zoom?
and I would just
Will
say
you
keep
please
up the good
take-
work.
Will you
The
please take
faster, the
one
better.
Zoom?
Okay, so TV time. So we're gonna give away the door
Will you
prize.
please take
This-
one Zoom?
I don't even know how big 65-inch TV was donated to LPEA by Tri-State GMT, so our current power supply provider, partner, and who will continue to be a partner with us going forward, generous enough to supply this for us. And so hopefully you still got your tickets laying around. This is a must be present to win kind of thing. So I'll draw a number and read it off. And if someone jumps up and comes up here, somebody will help you out with this large TV. Otherwise, I'll call another number. Okay, here we go. 0192133. Usually there's a screen. 0192133.
Come on, man.
Oh, we got one. All right. It is not mandatory to come up. Let me come get your ticket.
Golden ticket.
You don't have to come up. We'll help you with that. She's right. She's got a new TV. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. At this point, I'm adjourning the meeting, and I would, as was stated earlier, ask everyone to be somewhat prompt about moving out and getting back to the parking lot to your cars. Anybody who needs help getting back there, keep your eyes peeled for staff and the golf carts so we can get you out there, and then we'll let staff build this back into a truck barn. Thanks again.